with, let me clicky thing. Yeah, this is the obsession with time in the 1880s to 1930s American British philosophy in British Journal for the History of Philosophy by Emily Thomas. Yeah, asking me to sing is not a good move. Other things I can't do, plenty. Viper says, yeah, it was also used in Zack Snyder's The Army of the Dead. Totally took me out of the movie, which was actually a good thing because the movie was shit. Yeah, every so often there's a great song in a shit movie, and you're just like, why? I'm happy the artist got paid, the musician got paid, but like it's a crap movie. It's like you don't deserve this song, is what it is. So let's see. Quote, if I were asked to name the most characteristic feature of the thought of the last 25 years, I should answer the discovery of time. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. And if I just keel over dead, you know why. Seeing. Alright, introduction. Yeah, that's annoying. Don't normally do that. In American British philosophy around the turn of the 20th century, every philosopher and their dog had something to say on time. Thinkers worried about our experience of time. Do we actually experience time? Yeah. How do we experience the present? Is temporal experience continuous? They also worried about the metaphysics of time. Is time real? What is its nature? How does time relate to space? Water counteracts Palestinian biological warfare. Well, I'm not worried about the Palestinians here in New York. I don't think they're attacking me. Yeah. Accepting the Leviathan literature on J.M.E. McTaggart, time during this period is understudied. See, that's funny. I wouldn't have thought that. But, like, this is, like, the guy everyone quotes. But they're saying that other people have just been ignored. So if you read anything on time, you will see the name McTaggart everywhere. Further, the existing scholarship tends to be piecemeal, focusing on time in individual philosophers and only occasionally considering the philosophical scene more broadly. This collection offers the first sustained study of the 1880s through 1930s American British philosophy of time, exploring the work of Shadworth Hodgson, William James, Mary Calkins, Victoria Welby, Bertrand Russell, G.E. Moore, A.A. Robb, Alfred North Whitehead, Norman Kemp Smith, McTaggart, Karen Costello Stephen, Hilda Oakley, May Sinclair, and George P. Adams. The following pages showcase the richness and fecundity of temporal thought during this period. Okay, this is interesting. So this is a survey paper. I don't think I've read a survey paper in a while. Well, the closest we've got is like an introduction to a book, like of collected papers. But this is like a straight up, like, we're going to get a bite of what this person says, a bite of what that person says. So this is kind of a fun thing. I don't remember reading anything like this. Now, just so if anyone here doesn't know any of the big names, Bertrand Russell is like huge, and I mean huge. It's like Russell's paradox. William James is huge. I don't know all these other people, maybe that might be my fault. But Mary Calkins and Victoria Welby, these look like women, which is interesting. We don't always get so many women. G.E. Moore is not as big as Russell, but he was in that group. He was like friends with those people. Alfred North Whitehead, again, is in with the Bertrand Russells and G.E. Moores. McTaggart is the big name in this area. I don't know any of these other people, though, and I mean, again, that's my lack of historical understanding is my fault, but, like, these are just, like, giants of 20th century philosophy, basically, and a little earlier. So, yeah. Okay, why study time in the 1880s to 1930s American British philosophy matters? Who knows? Did anyone say anything 100 years ago? Studying time during this period is important for two reasons. One is that interest in this topic is growing. Over the last decade, historians of philosophy have, for example, explored time in the thought of Hodgson, James McTaggart, Samuel Alexander, Russell Whitehead, Susan Stebbing, C.D. Broad, Arthur Eddington, and Oakley. Further, citation rates of some historical texts have jumped. For example, McTaggart's 1908 The Unreality of Time was cited around 170 times before the year 2000 and over 2,300 times since. Yeah, this is the thing. If you look up philosophy of time, you will see this. 2,300 citations in the last 20 years, basically, when it's only been cited 170 times before. Now, to be fair, the online databases for citations aren't as good for pulling citations out of old PDFs because the OCR tech is not perfect. And so this may be a little bit unfair. This number, about 170 times, may be grossly underreported, but still, over 2,300 times since the year 2000, still, that's a massive jump. So, it's just weird things in the history. Like, sometimes people are forgotten, then all of a sudden they get mentioned once, and everyone's like, oh my god, this is so fucking smart. All right, Russell's 1915 on the experience of time was cited around 70 times before 2000 and over 240 times since. You see, this, on the other hand, when like 170 to 2000, this is about 10 times. Like, it's over 10 times. 70 to 240, that may also be because that's less. That's what, 3 to 4 times. See, that might also be suffering from a citation rate drop off from earlier from the tech here. All right, James, 1886, The Perception of Time, an article incorporated almost verbatim into his 1890 Principles of Psychology, was cited just 15 times before the year 2000 and 90 times after. I have sampled these citations and they do not seem to be from historians of philosophy, but from contemporary philosophers and psychologists using these texts to frame ongoing research. See, I wouldn't mind seeing what they did. Okay, figures taken from Google Scholar Analytics during June 2022. So again, that's not a bad way to find it, but how good is actual Google citation rates for understanding things? And so you got to wonder, is that really... I mean, it can give you a general feel for stuff, but when you're citing stuff from so long ago, is it actually representative? Because is that... how well are they cross-referencing like slight errors in, OCR tech? Whatever, though. That's not the point. Point is, these things have blossomed over the last 20 years. Still, what's it mean? Another more important reason to dig into this topic is that the historical philosophers themselves care deeply about time. All the thinkers covered in this volume wrote repeatedly on time across their careers. Evidence of the importance of time to this era is that it saw what I believe to be the first English language studies of time. Benjamin W. Van Riper's 1916, Some Views of the Time Problem, J. Alexander Gunn's 1929, The Problem of Time, Lewis Heath's 1936, The Concept of Time, and M.F. Clue's 1937, Time and Its Importance in Modern Thought. Hey, Tindarius, how you doing? Hope you're well today. We're reading something about the history of philosophy of time here. So I'm like a little off kilter today, so I was just like, let me just jump into a paper, keep it simple for me. I mean, if you guys got questions to ask, feel free to fire away. It's just, I don't know if I have the mental capacity to just chat. Because it, surprisingly, this is why our buddy Aris is so impressive. He can sit there and make conversation across the internet. It's not as easy as it looks. It's actually very hard. And he does it really, 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 really fucking well. And so it's a very impressive ability to just, chat philosophy through text and video. Not so easy. That's why everyone plays games. They have to have something to chat about. That's why I read papers. I have something to chat about. He can just do it. It's tough. But yeah, but feel free to ask questions. But I'm going to continue reading my paper here. These books cover the history of time before turning to time in modern thought, and they all imply that the philosophy of time is undergoing a renaissance. For example, Gunn, The Problem of Time, states an examination of time is imperative for the philosophical thinker of today and the foundation of any philosophy. Clue, the importance of time in metaphysics is more fully realized at present than ever before. Further evidence of how popular this topic became can be seen from increasing number of discussions of time in leading journals. Figure 1 is crudely constructed, but it shows that interest in time built steadily from the late 19th century, peaking in the 1920s. I can't cancel a word. I'll refund you if you want your 1,000 points back. I can't cancel the word time in this paper. If you want to that would just ruin the paper. Yeah, I mean, if we were just chatting and we were talking about it, then yeah, I would have to talk about duration for the whole thing. But I can't completely ruin the paper here. It's the thing. Yeah, scam. I'm sorry. I wonder if I can just refund. I don't even know how to refund anything. What'd I do? Ah. Argue for what? What do you want me to argue for? The importance of chatting with the audience on Twitch? Well, that's not hard. Like, that's not even a tough one. I mean, the importance of chatting with an audience on Twitch is, do you want to be a Twitch streamer with any audience whatsoever? This is not fucking YouTube. YouTube has no chatting. If you don't want to chat with your audience, get the fuck off the site. You're doing it wrong. Go make productions. Either go to TV, go to radio, or go to YouTube, or any of the other VOD sites, whatever they may be. Like, I don't care. But if you want to actually like have an audience on Twitch, this is where you go for the interactive online experience. Like, this is the #1 site. Like, if you want to go to some other place, you can also stream on like TikTok or something, but like if you want to have like sustained talking to people, you're doing it here. Like, this is the only place. I mean, it's too bad it's the only place. Maybe you could try Kick or something, but like if you want to have like any sort of anything on Twitch, you have to be chatting with your audience. No one gets by on Twitch without having an active chat. That is the entire point. Basically, Twitch gamifies chat. They make it so that if you want to get like an important thing happen, you have to donate money or you have to donate a sub, but like that is chat interaction. And so this is like the one and only thing that Twitch does, is it gives you the best chat interaction. If you want to go to YouTube Live, you want to know what the problem with YouTube the problem with YouTube Live is? Their alerts can take anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes to come through. How do you actually have redemptions like you just had in real time on YouTube? Can't do it. And so you drop off chat interaction. It's more like you're getting like asynchronous, just like random like chats every so often on YouTube, and you don't have the interaction, and that's why YouTube Live sucks, because you can't do what you can do here over there, because here you can have basically interactions in almost real time. I know there's some delay, but it is completely borked on YouTube, and unless they actually make their system like in real time, there's no point. There is no way you can actually interact with chat, because if you're gonna do it, you need to have the real time, and that's where the engagement is. There is no engagement in like minute time periods here. Yeah. When am I running for mayor? I've said before that I would actually, I would run for office. I have a clean enough history that I could get away with it. Hold back a hugely anti-Semitic comment? I mean, that would get you banned from Twitch. I mean, you can't do hate speech here. I mean, I assume it was very funny, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, fuck it. Oh well, you can delete it after. Well, I don't know. Do you want me to delete it? What do you want me to argue for, Tindarios? The audience helping the stream to continue instead of throwing stones to the streamer and making it unnecessarily long. You want me to argue for the audience helping the stream to continue instead of throwing stones to the streamer and making it unnecessarily long? Well, I mean, this is why Shane has the get on with it redeem, because what happens is if you get onto a thing, like you need to have the redeem thing there. I mean, are you just yelling at me to get on with it? Or are you just angry that there was a redemption? Oh, well, the Jews are just disagreeable, aren't they? Well, isn't that actually the Scottish joke in The Simpsons? Like, you think you're being anti-Semitic, but isn't that the exact Scottish joke from The Simpsons where they're talking to groundskeeper Willie? You joined a political party yesterday. Wow. You know, I don't think the Jews are disagreeable. They are known for being argumentative, but you have to remember a lot of this stuff is just like historically based. It's like, you're the minority. Congratulations. You have to fight for stuff. Yeah. So I know. Well, I'm not like, you're not even going to get like, if you want me to kill your, like, if you want me to delete it, I will. I don't think it's actually that, offensive. Yeah. Yeah, Tinderas, you actually want me to argue for it, or are you just saying I should get on with reading the paper? Yeah, so, I mean, Shane does have the get on with it redemption, in the sense that, I figured you were, Tindarios, but I just wanted to be sure. I don't want to be like, you know, ignoring redeems. If you don't want people to redeem stuff, don't have redeem stuff. Like, seriously, that's on me. So I just want to be sure about that. You're a naked, screaming echo warrior. You should put pictures of yourself doing that in Discord. I'm sure people would like it. But that's the thing. It's like you have to engage. Your redeems should help that, if anything, or don't have them. If you don't want to engage in that way, don't do it. So it's like, that's fine. You watched a clip of Allergy talking to the tree people. It was funny. I don't remember that. Yeah. And you're a clothed German who is not funny. Well, you know, that might be a skill you could work on. Like, can you actually work on being funnier? Yes. Maybe you could learn how to do that one day. You know, work on getting a bigger spear. The pump arrives any day now. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't have a funny comment. See, I'm not really on top of things. But, like, yeah, you just make it appropriately sized. It's how you use it, mostly, Vipers. Yeah. Okay, so what are we doing? Okay, so yeah, this is like, so they were writing a lot of papers in the last turn of the last century, and then it looks like we've gotten back to this right now. So 100 years later, we've gotten back to it. Yeah, isn't like the internet weird? You put something in one spot on the internet, and then all of a sudden other people know about it. Weird things. Okay. So yeah, it peaked in the 1920s, and we're back in the 20s and again, and isn't time coming around just a thing? We've got, like, you know, trouble in Europe and all sorts. The economy's collapsing and good stuff. Okay. Time in American British philosophy before the 1880s. By way of contextualizing the context of this volume, this section considers American British philosophy of time before the 1880s. Let's start with the experience of time. And the Pinkertons are back, yes. I saw that people were getting... And hey, what's up, Maddie? Hope you're well. There was somebody that actually hired... who was it? It was like D&D or something. Someone actually hired like a hit squad to go after people. And just made like the social media stuff. Yeah, Wizards of the West, Wizards of the Coast. It's a little bit... It's like, yeah. Things are going a little bit weird. Hiring private security companies to go out and like do your bidding again in the United States. I know this happens all over the place, but we haven't had like this since like 100 years ago, and we've got our Pinkertons again. Yeah, Magic the Gathering. Yeah, Magic the Gathering. It's like these are well-loved games, and it was I thought a well-loved company, and now they want to get paid, and they're sending thugs, as Maddie says, out to enforce their property. Okay. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Maddie, we're reading something on the history of philosophy of time, and we're reading stuff from 100 years ago. For all you people who don't know philosophy, philosophy is old, and things from 100 years ago are basically contemporary in philosophy. There's a few areas in philosophy that moves faster than that. Things like this don't. So things from like 100 years ago, and this is what I was saying, McTaggart gets cited constantly. Philosophy of time is going to be one of these things where some things will have moved on, a lot of it won't. This will all be, even though this is a history of philosophy journal, this is contemporary history. Like, it's right now. Oh, they've been shitty for a few years now? That's too bad. Yeah, 100 years old in philosophy is basically 5 minutes ago, and some of it isn't. Some of it's, like, completely contemporary. Like, 5 minutes ago is, like, it could be cutting edge. Like, you can still find people making claims on stuff 100 years ago that are, like, shit, they're better than what we're saying now. Like, it's not even that happens semi-regularly. Be like, oh, this guy that no one really read 100 years ago, it was like completely ahead of it. And so it's like, that stuff happens. Oh, don't do this to me. Okay, there we go. So yeah. So let's see. And that is the whole point of this article, actually. They say, look, everyone's been reading McTaggart, but there's a whole bunch of other people that said stuff, and their stuff is good too. Okay. So, late 19th century American British philosophy is notable for its raft of work on this issue. Key texts include Hodgson's 1878 Philosophy of Reflection, Robert Kelly's, also known as E.R. Clay, Anonymous 1882, The Alternative, A Study in Psychology, James Ward's 1886 Encyclopedia Britannica article, Psychology, James 1886, The Perception of Time, and F.H. Bradley's 1893 Appearance in Reality. Although there is scholarship on some of these later texts, there's very little on what went before. To illustrate that in the 19th and early 20th century perspectives section of Phillips' Handbook of Philosophy of Temporal Experience, the only pertinent philosopher mentioned is Hodgson. Yeah. So, and it's kind of fun. Speaking of like the history of philosophy, you can dig stuff up, and you will find stuff. There is stuff from there were some great philosophers like in the Middle Ages that have like fantastic stuff. So like there's what's his name, Avicenna. Avicenna's logic, his logic, we've lost one of his books. Like, it's gone to history. But some of the stuff he mentions in other books that he says, I go into more detail here, it's really a fucking shame. Because he was hundreds of years ahead. Maybe multiple hundreds of years. Maybe, like, closer to, like, 500-600 years ahead. Yeah, so it's like, oh, well, too bad we lost that book. But, like, yeah. Averroes, yeah. Oh, man. It's like, it's too bad. But, like, maybe would have had like hundreds of years on people. So yeah. No one knows like you. Okay. Time. One of the things about that stuff too is sometimes there are ancient manuscripts that haven't been translated in some of the libraries in the Middle East, and like the people that are rightfully protective of those things, but like it's hard to get a hold of them, and like there might actually be like interesting ideas from hundreds of years ago, like, and you can do the whole like Lord of the Rings thing and go into like a cellar to go find the ancient texts, or like a fantasy thing where you could go find the ancient texts and like read something that's like gonna blow your mind. Oh, Wizards of the Coast has been Hasbro since most of its time. See, I don't know these things. I never got into those games, so I didn't know about that. But that's too bad, because I had understood that they were sort of laissez-faire with the IP, because it was just good for everybody. They were like, let the market have it, and then like people could use it as they saw fit, and everyone benefited over the long run. And now they've changed their perspective apparently on this. Yeah. Okay, so rare scholarship on Hodgson and James sources trace lines of thought on temporal experience running from Locke via Scottish philosophers such as Thomas Reid, Dugald Stewart, Thomas Brown, and William Hamilton, and via English philosophers such as David Hartley, Abram Tucker, and William Watson. You don't play either. I don't get pals to play D&D when I grew up with scallywags. That's too bad. Maddie says they cracked down stupidly hard on D&D earlier this year. The creators and fans revolted and they had to backtrack hard. Yeah, well, that's all I saw, because that was what made the sort of the media, but I didn't really understand what was going on, because I just saw the headlines and, I was like, oh, that's too bad for the fans, but like I didn't dig into it. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I do understand the business perspective of this. Like, people are using your stuff and you're not getting paid for it. But, I mean, you're getting paid for something in this interaction. You're getting more people in or whatever. There was just a headline on the last few days about how piracy does not actually drop game sales. And it got suppressed. It was from out of the European Union, and piracy does not actually drop game sales. You want to know why? Because more people playing will get the game in front of more people, and the people who will afford the game will buy it. You're getting people who won't be able to afford the game anyway, and so it's like it doesn't actually screw you up. Hey Unreal, what's up? I hope you're well. Much more recent history. In the 90s, my advisor told me about a book that John Dewey was writing, but he left the manuscript in a taxi, gave up and didn't try to rewrite it. About a decade ago, someone digging in the archives of Dewey's papers and notes managed to reconstruct a version of the text and publish it. It's this sort of thing. Like, it could have been interesting stuff, and you're just like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. Manny says D&D about 20 years ago had an open creator contract that was supposed to last into perpetuity. Oh, that's right. That's what the headline was. They changed their contract, and then they backtracked on what they said. It's like, yeah. Now, could you fork the old contract? I don't know, like they do in open source, but yeah, it's hard. DCI says, yeah, I've gone and purchased much more of my favorite media after downloading out of respect for it. See, this is the thing. The piracy is better for distribution. The non-piracy is better for keeping money in. But that's the thing. You need to get the fans first. How do you get the fans if they can't afford to pay for your music? Like, you might not get the first sale, but you're going to get the second sale. Like, it's crazy. Manny says the current D&D owners tried to break the contract and replace it where the D&D owners were going to own everything after that. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like, yeah, any creation that anyone else makes, we own, which is nuts. Like, it's completely nuts. Like, Yeah, it's like the reversed viral thing. I mean, this is what they have the copy left. Like if you have the GPL, it says, look, we're giving you this for absolutely free. You're not even paying for it. But then if you contribute source code, anything you make for this has to also be free. Now that's different because they're giving you a fucking free meal the whole time, and says if you contribute anything to the meal, well, everyone else has to benefit too. It's not the same as when you're paying for a company for something and then they say, but everything you make is also ours. That's nuts. Yeah, that imagination is copyright, please cease and desist. Yeah, like that's nuts. It'd be one thing if it was like, okay, you can't make any money off this, like fanfic. Like you can write fanfic, but you can't like start publishing like Harry Potter stuff because, you know, the estate of Harry Potter will get angry. But like the idea that you can't even write, they own your fanfic? No. Like they can't own your imagination. That's nuts. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a money grab. People see money and they be like, I want that money. Okay, so what are we doing here? So of these authors, Hamilton lies closest to our period. Prompted by Reed, Hamilton argues we cannot have immediate knowledge of past or future things, for we can only immediately know existing things, and the past and future are non-existent. So yeah, this is just the moving spotlight theory, where we only know our little, like, whatever is happening right now, and then everything else is fake. You're freaked out by Google, Vipers? Google is freaking me out these days. Just refreshed Google, and my recommendation is a video from Andrew Huberman, dopamine, serotonin, and time perception. You don't have anything about time in your description. I'm wearing headphones, my mic is muted, and my phone is in the other room. They must be analyzing packets. Yikes. I mean, that'd be a little weird. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, there might be some other way to do it. No, I don't even know. Like, do they know what website you're on? Yeah, but there's nothing in my description, as you said. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, IP owners can't own a person's fanfic. They can only push against their own IP. Yeah, that's the thing. You could say, look, you can't make money off our characters, but they can't take down your fanfic. Your fanfic is your fanfic. Yeah, Wire Shotgun Viper's Gratitude. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I wonder if they're analyzing the audio. Because Facebook got caught doing that. They had a microphone doing it, and it was doing audio capture. So maybe they're analyzing the audio through the microphone. Like if they're like scanning the speech coming through the mic, even though it is an audio, even though it is through the headphones, maybe they're like doing a virtual microphone in the computer, which would be incredibly creepy. I sure hope they're not doing that, but still. There's a darknet site that allows you to look up an Xbox Live user, and you can download tons of stuff they've said in Game Over, Mike. Yeah, but like I guess that would be shitty security on the Xbox side, because someone's probably pulling that off like a server that Microsoft runs. That's not the same as real-time analysis in your computer of the audio. Yeah, bots capturing it. Yeah. So, like, if they have bots capturing the stuff as it goes by, that's different. But, I mean, do I have a bot in this channel that is, you know, transcribing my stuff live and then figuring out who Vipers is and sending Vipers ads? Weird. Yeah, well, what's wrong with fanfic? That's what it's called. Well, I know I have bots in channels. Is it doing audio, like live audio transcription in order to send you people ads? That's weird. You just remembered you did change your DNS servers to Google when I moved in because my provider was acting up. Oh, wow. So there's a question if Google is then now knows you're in my channel and is doing some sort of audio capture or other packet capture. That's weird. Can you say Germans love fanfic? I mean, that's just what we call it in the United States. It's a fiction written by fans of an I mean, is that something? Is fanfic a word in German that I don't know and I'm saying something inappropriate? I'm just saying this is what we call it in the U.S. when like a fan makes fiction out of an existing intellectual property. There's nothing like unusual about it. Can I say squirrel? I mean, it's squirrel something? Oh, I used to get people coming in here and being like, "Could you say these words?" And they were like, obviously, like huge ass or something. And it's just like, yeah, I can say that. Like, this is an 18 plus stream. I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever. Like, am I gonna make an ass of myself by saying some curse words? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's not a big deal. What do you like? Unless you're 12, get the hell out of here. You're not supposed to be here. Sounds like fanfic, which is fan fucking German. Okay. And Vipers has gone into lurk mode. yeah, I'm DCI. I'm not surprised. Like, he might be like, this is a little too creepy, even for Google. All right, so here's the thing. Here's the moving spotlight theory of time, where we only have our now, and then everything before or after that doesn't exist. Same with thick. Yeah, but thick has like fun connotations nowadays in English too, so that's okay. Like, that ass is thick. Okay. Our knowledge of the past is mediate, that is, through memory. Ultimately, these ideas would be utilized in Hodgson's theory of the specious present, which holds that our experiential present has duration. Hodgson distinguishes between the metaphysical present, an indivisible point, and the empirical present, a portion of the course of time containing at least the minimum of consciousness. Famously, James drew on Hodgson to craft his own specious present theory. James, in The Perception of Time, distinguishes the strict or knife-edge present from the specious or practically cognized present, which has a certain breadth of its own. See, this is interesting. You have to realize you can't experience a moment in time. It's not possible for any of us to experience like a singular moment. Like, there is no like sliver of time. We are always experiencing something through at least a little period of time. And this is the specious present. And so what is that actually, as opposed to the sliver of time? Like, metaphysically, that's a very hard question. I don't really know. Okay. Likely familiar with both Hodgson and James, Bradley considers time as it is presented to us and argues presented time must be time present. He claims that the temporal contents of now imply a before and after, indicating he also holds some kind of specious present theory. This is interesting, though. If you say your now includes a before and after, how much before and how much after? You know, it's like if you have a now that isn't exactly like a sliver, but then you have a now and it now includes a little bit of before and now includes a little bit of after, like maybe as some sort of part, you know? That idea was big for Bergson too. He and James chat about it. See, this is like cool. I don't know the history of this, and it seems like that's why this paper is this is why I saved this paper, actually, because I was like, I do want to know this. I also think Valpo. Was Valpo here? Hi, Valpo. I think Valpo was here, yes, for the paper. Yeah. Hey, Valpo. And so, like, this is one of the reasons I saved it. I think Valpo also mentioned it once. But it's like, it's cool stuff. Like, people do care about these things. Hope you're doing well, Vapo, and that you're getting towards the end of your semester well. DCI says, I know just being in chat doesn't count as a viewer. I know that someone can be in chat without being logged in. That being said, I, however, would like to ask you, Commander Root, to leave. Oh, thank you. I don't care about the bots. Like, they know about this stuff. It's not like, I mean, I don't think it's hurting anything. So it's like, am I going to be that fussed about the bots? It's like, what am I really complaining about? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. You did something. You've got A and B theory language in your dissertation. Yeah. So this is a philosophy of time person then. Yeah, Valpo does philosophy of time. So okay, so yeah, on the internet, no one knows you're a bot. That's actually a good thing you should say. Maybe we should just say everyone is an artificial intelligence here. On the internet, everyone knows you're art and AI. So you're a bot. I mean, that is one of the benefits of the internet, is like, you may be someone that, like, you can be who you want through chat. Like, all you've got is your, like, username, and that doesn't have to mean anything. So it's like, that is one of the nice, you know, it's good. The anonymity is good for some people, and other people abuse it, but I like that. Like, but that's also one of the reasons I have my face on screen, so you can see there's a person talking about stuff. It's not yet that we can have, Like, eventually, you'll be able to have real-time people doing this. And, of course, I could have a face mod, but it's still very hard to do this in real time without a person actually doing it. If you had, like, a bot doing what I'm doing, it's like, I don't think you can do it yet. Okay, so let's turn to the metaphysics of time. I find that from the mid-18th to mid-19th century, American British philosophers were largely uninterested in this field. Many leading philosophers of the period wrote nothing, so far as I'm aware, on temporal metaphysics, including Jeremy Bentham, Adam Smith, Edmund Burke, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, William Godwin, George Hardin, Catherine Macaulay, David Williams, Mary Wollstonecraft, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Mary Everest Boole, George Boole, and James Mill. This disinterest is largely due in part to the Scottish Enlightenment, which discovered metaphysics generally. I mean, yeah, I guess people did avoid metaphysics at different parts, but, there are also other reasons why people don't write on certain topics. This is like, it doesn't really matter what they say, but there are other reasons. Time is a hard topic, and people don't write on stuff because there's nothing we can say about it sometimes. Interest in the metaphysics of time kindled slowly via thinkers such as Hamilton and William Whewell, but I find the topics become really popular with the rise of idealism. This movement took an earlier and deeper hold in Britain. Following the academic appointments of T.H. Green and Edward Caird in 1866, years of idealist teaching were followed by idealistic publications from the mid-1870s onwards. Many of these were advanced complex metaphysics of time. For example, Green argues that ultimate reality comprises an eternal consciousness to which before and after, and time itself is an appearance. Bradley argues at length that time is a contradictory appearance. Caird argues that the absolute is at once unchanging and continually changing in time and out of it. A little later, American idealists also issued Metaphysics of Time. G.H. Howison argues that time owes its entire existence to mind. Josiah Royce argues that all temporal sequences are present at once to the absolute. Why this fresh interest? One reason is simply that metaphysics was central to idealism. More speculatively, I argue another reason lies in an idealist attitude towards evolution. That's fair, because evolution came out in 1850s, 1860s? I forget. Made a big splash, though. Yeah, so Viper's is trying to see who got into his computer. It also could just be dumb luck, Vipers, if you're here and listening. It does happen once in a while that, something talks about time right when you're talking about time. Like broken clock theory. Yeah, so if everyone's talking about evolution, and one of the things about the history of evolution, people didn't know how old the, universe was or the earth was. But the people of the 1800s also didn't really believe the Bible anymore. They didn't think it was 6,000 years old, but they didn't know how old it was. But here's the thing. Say you don't think the earth is only 6,000 years old. Say you think it's 60,000 years old. Or 100,000 years old. Those are all reasonable guesses if everyone thought it was 6,000 and then now you think it's 100,000 or maybe 200,000. That is not enough time for evolution. You need millions of years. You need geologic time almost. And so all of a sudden, to get evolution to be believed, you had to convince everyone of the earth being much older. And so time got pushed into the public consciousness because of evolution. Jimena Canales wrote a wonderful book, The Physicist and the Philosopher, on how Bergson and Einstein argued with each other. I think Bergson has to be more or less right that time and space are qualitatively different, not fungible like Einstein claimed. Sure, but things get very weird in physics at the points when relativity makes a difference. Now, is time probably different? Yeah, I agree, from a philosophical perspective, but I mean, again, the physical theories at the points where time and physical reality overlap is very far from our everyday experience. So yeah, I agree in the abstract sense, but I don't think we actually understand much of we're still coming to grips with relativity. Yeah. Oh, Tinderos. Yeah. The funny. Yeah. Yeah. Well, because it's the original quote was on the internet, no one knows you're a girl, I think, because it was complaining about someone, asking for attention that they, on the internet, no one cares if you're cute, because you can't see them. And so, like, you can't use your cuteness as a thing. And then they get misogynist saying it was a girl. It doesn't have to be a girl. It could be a really cute guy, but like, or anything for that matter, because you're very cute. But it's like, that's the point. And so now we're pushing that into the bot stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so be safe out there. Okay, so yeah. Oh, hey, we're getting there. This is exactly what I said. I did not actually read ahead this time. Ha! Darwin's 1859 on the origin of species popularized relatively new geological theories, holding that the Earth is not thousands, but millions of years old. I swear I didn't just read that next line. For example, in a section titled "On the Lapse of Time," Darwin explains that natural selection works very slowly, but incomprehensibly vast past time can accommodate it. The thesis that evolution requires deep time proliferated via science popularizers who depicted vast expanses of time in evolutionary epics. Riper and Heath both devoted sections of their studies of time to the effects of evolution. Riper writes that geology and evolution gave philosophy immensely more time and change to think about and made solving the problem of time much more urgent. Heath states that the geology showed time to be a serious and influential factor in nature, and Darwinian evolution made time a vital factor in reality. Yeah, this is the thing. This was not a trivial thing to convince people of back in the day, because even if they weren't thinking about like the Bible 6,000 years or whatever, the idea that you're going from like thousands to millions is a big jump. You're going more than a factor of 10. You're going, 10, 100? Yeah, you're going by a factor of thousands, if not even bigger than that, like a 10,000, factor of 10,000. It's not an easy jump for people to make. On the Origin of Species also contributed to the 19th century crisis of faith. As Brooke puts it, Darwin's staggering vision of a long, tortuous, blood-stained trail of evolution was the last straw. Evolution seemed to take away from God as creator, and it is difficult to reconcile our descent from apes with our biblical creation in God's image. Many American and British idealists were deeply religious. Copleston explains that idealism stressed the spiritual character of ultimate reality, standing firmly on the side of religion. Given this, it is unsurprising that many idealists were hostile towards Darwinian evolution. Cunningham writes that one of idealism's chief goals was to undo the influence of evolutionary thinking. DCI says, I always find it funny when people talk shit in Discord, but their Discord links to their Spotify profile under their real name. Yeah, I mean, be safe out there, people. Don't be like, you got to realize that most of the places where you're chatting are not going to be as closed as you think they are. Now, this is not to say don't engage with like people online, but it's like you got to be a little bit mindful of this stuff. Like, and you got to realize that, yeah, if Spotify has real names, it might not be so safe to do that. I did not know Spotify had real name profiles. So it's like, and this is from me with my full name, right? Like, if you want to know my name, it's under the stream, and you can link to my personal site with my full name on it. It's like, yeah. So, putting Darwin's need for deep time and the atheist implications of evolution together, let's step into the boots of a religious 19th century philosopher. You believe something divine underlies the world. You are hostile towards the seemingly atheist cosmos offered by Darwinian evolution. How might you reconcile evolution with your system? An excellent strategy would surely be to show that time is ultimately unreal, dependent on a deeper divine reality. If time is an appearance, then evolution certainly is. In effect, I suggest idealists initially took up metaphysics of time by way of rejecting the ultimate reality of evolution. This is an interesting thesis. It's saying, look, we can get beyond the scientific viewpoint by going to something more fundamental. Let's look at time, because all of the science that we're talking about that seems very anti-God or non-religious, maybe even if not anti-God, then was dependent on time, and then maybe we were just looking in the wrong spot for our religious grounding, and we can just go to something more fundamental. And so the idealists looked at time as something more fundamental than science, and therefore put some more effort into that. Regardless of why idealists became so interested in the temporal metaphysics, it is unquestionably the case that much subsequent work on this issue is written against the backdrop of their views, especially that of Calkins, Russell, Kemp-Smith, and McTaggart. As the 19th century wore on, debates over the experience and metaphysics of time proliferated across philosophical movements through idealists, pragmatists, new realists, and process philosophers. The late 19th and early 20th centuries would be a grand age for the philosophy of time. Introducing the papers of this issue. Oh, so this was this is what like most other papers like this. This is just longer than most introductory things. Most introductory papers tend to be shorter, but like, so we're gonna get a little taste of this. I didn't think this was what it was, but it is. It's just a summary for people at the start of a book. That's cool though. Introducing the papers of this issue. The papers are organized chronologically, moving from the 1880s onward. 3 features of the collection as a whole are especially noteworthy. Hey, Rethius, how you doing? Hope you are well today. We are reading something. This is a survey about some philosophy of time from the late 1800s to the early 20th century. Yeah, I'm getting over a stomach bug. Like yesterday, I came home and just went to sleep, so I slept like a lot yesterday. So I don't think I'm gonna be on like a huge amount of time. And like today, I usually chat, but like I just jumped into the paper and my voice is already starting to go. So I'm gonna get through this and try to get out of here. But other than that, I'm okay. Yeah, like it's kind of exciting. I haven't eaten this little food in the last 2 days, and like since I was sick last time. Last time I was sick, and like at this point, I've had 3 bites to eat. I had a cookie and a little bit of lettuce since Monday. Yeah, something about time. Well, DC, I am a little bit committed to streaming, and I don't feel bad. It's just it's weird. I haven't eaten in days, so it's like, yeah. Well, I'm not going to be able to eat the pizza at the moment. I'm just not hungry, which is the weird thing. It's like my stomach is just like, no food. No food. It's like, no. Yeah, like I had half the cookie and then I was like, I can't eat anymore. Then I ate the rest of the cookie. Yeah. Cookies and less is definitely what you want to be when I have a stomach bug. It worked well enough. Yeah. Yeah, so a little bit of but that was the thing. I was like, should I call off streaming? I was like, I will, have a light stream today. I'm not like gonna go crazy reading a long paper. I had this one already queued up. I was like, no big deal. I do need soup. I didn't have any soup, and I should have had some soup. Yeah. Yeah. But like, this is like we're already halfway through this paper, so it's like we're doing all right. Like, this is going to plan, I guess. Chicken soup for the mind body. Yeah. Well, everyone has their guilty pleasures. I wonder what I should have done, Yeah. Stretch. Yeah. Well, we got like one arm up, one arm down, other arm up, other arm down, and you push down and you push up. And what you do is you try to get like one half up, one hand down. Then what you do is you push up with both arms, and you push up with the top of your body, and you try to push down with the lower half of your body. So you try to, get your spine to move a little bit. Okay. Maddie says, it's funny to see how evolution is used by academics who feel like they don't know how evolution actually works or what it does. Well, this paper is like 1800, so they didn't really know shit. That's fair. But I mean, like I said, the problem wasn't evolution so much. It was the separation from like the everyday reality. Like the idea that there was like tens of millions of years where things were happening that we just don't know about. That was really what was hard for people to grab. People could assume like that things changed. Like, not so hard to think that things change. Like, you see like they were doing like, of course, they knew about breeding animals all the time. Yeah, this is not new, but like the idea that like the scope of it was just wild. Like, so that's really what freaked people out. And so once you're talking about millions of years, like they're freaking, like that was weird to them. And so you can see, okay, you're talking about millions of years. Let's sort of like try to reduce time to something we do understand. And that's what this this author is arguing. It's like, yeah, maybe this isn't the like really exactly what happened, but you can kind of understand like people trying to grasp time differently once they were forced into thinking about time over like long time scales, like in millions of years. Topic is old, the writer's modern. Yeah, I mean, it's just what happened according to this author is a reasonable reconstruction. Is it true? Don't know. I have no idea. But what they're saying actually in terms of the late 1800s, it was a big deal that time was different for these people, given the increasing science that we had, the increasing physics, the increasing astronomical knowledge we had, the distances in outer space because optics were getting better, and we could start to realize exactly how far away certain things were. Like that was like, this is starting to blow people's minds, and so the distance, this whole like time and space thing was getting very crazy for the people. And so like if you're thinking about in that mindset, I don't know if this is why people actually got interested in time, but you can see that's why this author says so, and it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe. Unreal Brian says the main ideas from both evolution and geology were in place. The details in Darwinian synthesis wrapped up with discovery of DNA was to come. Yeah, and back when Pluto was a planet. But there's the thing, people were starting to get like tidbits of information. The optics were starting to get better. You could start to see moons on planets far away. And it's like, all of a sudden, we're talking about like, millions of miles. Like, and then there's like planets on like moons on planets, millions of miles away. Like this was like when people didn't realize that, like things were far away, people thought things like, were just up in like the sky, like a little bit out of reach. Not a big deal. But when you start to realize things are like super far away, that's different. Retheos says Pluto reclaimed planet status. As far as I know, no. But yeah. So I think they're still planetoid or something at this point. I mean, frankly, they say Pluto's basically the size of like a small moon, but it's unfair. Does anyone know if we have any more information about Planet X? Because they were saying that there's a good chance there's another planet outside of the orbit of Pluto that might be why some of the other orbits are a little messed up at times. That'd be interesting. Yeah, dwarf planet. Okay. Thank you, Retheus. Yeah, dwarf planet. That's just, you should call it a small person planet. Like, dwarf is like not nice. I think. When O'Brien says, hard to believe that into the mid-20th century, the steady state theory of the universe prevailed. The acceptance of the Big Bang is recent. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not sure the Big Bang is going to last that long. Like, it seems like it works, but there's other options out there, too. Like, the Big Bang seems somewhat good, but, like, there's still, like, part of there's, like, a rapid expansion at the beginning of the Big Bang that we can't explain. And so it's, like, there might be something else that comes after that. I don't know. So, yeah, if anyone who doesn't know, I have not thought about steady state theory in a while. We can look this up briefly. But, like, this was, like, that the Earth doesn't actually change or something. Like, the universe doesn't change much. Let's see. What is steady state theory? This is a good thing to know. In cosmology, steady state model or steady state theory is an alternative to Big Bang theory of evolution of the universe. In steady state model, the density of matter in the expanding universe remains unchanged due to a continuous creation of matter, thus adhering to the perfect cosmological principle that asserts the observable universe is practically the same at any time, at any place. Yeah, so it's just sort of like generating in place. Ivan was talking about it a few streams ago. Okay. Universe was consistent, new matter is created, but throughout the universe. Yeah, so it's just sort of like static, but like generating enough to keep itself stable. Retheus would like to propose a third theory. The universe is too complex and large to ever expect to be comprehensible. I mean, that's fair, but like we kind of do get, we learn some stuff over time. So it's like we might go back to a steady state theory even after going Big Bang, but it's like that's only because we know more about like the universe now than we did then. It's like we do learn more about it. It's like these things, they come and they go. Well, we learn things locally, in my opinion, Retheus. We learn things, but we have no idea what's really out there. That's fair. And we're limited by our own science, absolutely. But like, we get to go to the moon now, and we're gonna hopefully go back to the moon, and maybe we'll go to Mars in my lifetime, and that'll be cool. And so like, we used to think Mars was like not someplace we could go, and now we can go. And that's kind of cool. So, okay, so the papers are organized chronologically, moving from the 1880s onwards. No, we are definitely not the main characters of the universe, and we would love to be. I completely agree, but the universe don't give a fuck about us. SpaceX go boom. They sent their rocket up recently, and just because the separation failed and it went boom, they were saying, look, anything once it gets off the pad is a win. I'm pretty happy about that. Like, they said that we did good. What are you angry about, DCI? What do I have to take back? We're not being the main character of the universe. The only thing I'm a main character of is this stream. That's literally the only thing I'm the main character of. Well, yeah, I'm a little pissed about Twitter, but like, as long as Elon keeps his hands off SpaceX at this point, that's okay. We're the main characters. I like bringing this up. So this is an 18th century physics story too. Someone asked Voltaire where the center of the universe was because, like I said, people were starting to realize that there's a lot of universe out there. And they were asking, well, where do you think the center of the universe is if it's not the sun? Where is it? And Voltaire was one of these people with a walking stick. And he took his walking stick and he slammed it down right in front of him and goes, the center of the universe is right here. And it's like, he's got a point. Like, the center of the universe is like kind of what you people are like talking about. It's like between me and you. Like, this is the center of the universe right here, right now. But like, if you're talking about physics, we don't know. But like, that's the thing. DCI says, I say the paper's the main character, you're the narrator. No. And this is on the redeem from earlier. The main character is the chat interaction on Twitch. It is not the game, because if it was the game, you could just go play it. If it was the paper, you could go read it. Go download it, go read it off by yourself. That is not the main character here. Never was. Same with the games on Twitch. They're not the main things, because if you want to just play the games, you could do it without being in chat. Rethea says that's contextual. I'm talking about everything besides our own ego. We exist. That is true. Yeah, we exist in something in that water. Yeah, whatever the ether is here. That's the main character. We even perceive it through our own organs, homegrown. Yeah. We can't perceive reality going around us. That's fair. It's like, we're limited by whatever it is we are. Yeah, so for me right now, somewhere right in the middle of the Atlantic. I lost that one from DCI, your last one. But like, yeah, you're saying directly in between us, yeah, in the water. No, but it's like in between us, like in cyberspace. This is cyberspace, actually. That's what I would be saying, not the Atlantic. The cyberspace is the center of the universe right here. But like, that's the thing. It's not the paper. You could go read this on your own. You're on Twitch. It's not the video game. It's not me just on my own. You could, like, we wouldn't be in Twitch too. Otherwise, that would be the thing. Rethea says, but being limited by what we are begs the question of whatever else is going on. We can do is accept that it's too complex for biology for the most part. Yeah, but like whatever, that's fine. But like whatever we are, like there is something out there. Like no one is doubting that unless you're a solipsist. And I doubt you're a solipsist. It's kind of actually hard to maintain. But like that's not hard to say there's something else out there and there's, maybe more than one thing. So like real truths, do we know what they are? No. But like do we understand like there's other stuff? Yes. And then whatever we are versus whatever they are, who knows? But we can make some really basic distinctions. We can get close, but we'll never be able to say what we understand reality. We understand some things. That's it. My argument is that there's no reason to think whatever else out there has anything to do with us or gives a shit. No, I agree. I don't think anything gives a shit. I mean, that there is other stuff out there, yes. That it gives a shit about us, doubtful. Very doubtful. The idea that, like, electrons give a fuck about us, not in the least. Other planets, other aliens, they give... Maybe some other, like, sentient aliens might care about us, but, like, chances are no. Yeah, and Unreal says, part of the human adventure is trying to understand. Yeah, that's part of what we are. We do this thing. We talk about stuff. Yeah, blessing and curse. Yeah, so we philosophize. It's just part of the experience. Okay. So, three features of the collection as a whole are especially noteworthy. Oh boy. First, although its subject is time, it also explores many further topics. Temporal experience leads us to ponder issues such as the role of the mind in perception and the nature of memory. The metaphysics of time swiftly leads to the nature of past things, events, and even reality itself. Time is knotted with a wealth of further philosophy. Second, the collection's American-British geographic focus should not be taken to imply that these are the only national contexts in which important philosophy of time took place. Unreal Brian's cats don't care to understand, but they like to curl up next to my books. Who was talking about it? Oh, the guy I work with, his cat has started using the toilet. His cat has started to pee in the toilet. No one taught his cat to pee in the toilet. The cat has started to pee in the toilet. And his daughter told him this. And he was like, nah, you're just confused. It was just sitting on the toilet. And then, no, like yesterday, apparently, she came over and was like, no, the cat's peeing on the toilet. And they go over and the cat was peeing in the toilet. So, you know, I'm sure they don't understand what's in your books, but they might understand something. Like, literally, this is story I heard today about what happened yesterday from this guy, and he's not the sort of person to make this sort of thing up. So it's like, yeah, the cat figured out to pee in the toilet somehow. Rethia says your cats understand their own instincts and reactions to behavior and probably don't take stars or the moon into account besides your visibility at night when they're hunting birds. Yeah, but like, do they understand that maybe this is where to go piss? Maybe they understood that, and that seems significant enough. Can't really claim that, but we have a far more understandable and comprehensive passed down arguments writing. Yeah, well. Yeah, they said they were looking at the cat, and the cat's like looking at them like while it's taking a piss. Like, what? What do you want? It's like, okay. He said he was just confused. Oh, you just read John Gray, Feline Philosophy, would recommend? Oh, fun. What is that? I don't know what that is. Like, is that like a philosophy of cats? What it is to be a cat? The ontology of cathood. Okay, so second, the collection's American-British. Oh yeah, different contexts that took place. On the contrary, fascinating theories can be found in Charles Bernard Renouvier, Jean-Marie Gouillard, Henri Bergson, Franz Brentano, Alexius Meinong, Albert Einstein, German Louis William Stern, and Edmund Husserl. Yeah, and so Einstein's already come up today. Meinong's a metaphysician famous for saying things that don't exist or things that aren't real do exist. Brentano's in that crowd too. But yeah. A slim little book more like comparing their perspective on life and ethics and meaning to ours. Yeah, see, this is one of those things that philosophers get up in arms about, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. Because it's kind of hard to project our understanding onto other animals, but still. Cats don't look at the night sky and create weird shit like astrology, as far as we know. Yeah. I don't know what goes on cat heads. I mean, maybe they do create weird shit and we just don't know about it, but they just don't tell us about it. Yeah. But it's always good to look at things from other perspectives, even if it is sort of a fantasy about what we think cats are up to. Wittgenstein was famous for saying, if lions could speak, we wouldn't be able to understand them. And I don't know if I completely believe it, but I know what he was saying at the time. It's saying that their like experience in the world would be so foreign to us because they have like, you know, different bodies and different experiences. It wouldn't make any sense what they're saying to us. So, but I mean, there may be enough overlap. I always was partial to thinking that if we were talking about being thirsty and a cat was talking about being thirsty, we could both understand something about what it was to be thirsty. You can definitely understand the lion when it tells me to get the fuck away or die. Yeah, see? Yeah. Unreal Brian says, you ever see a cat slam to a stop in what they are doing and look up and look at us like nothing in particular and then run madly into the next rooms? They see things. You do have a cat brain though. Oh, I completely forgot about this. I had actually, this is something funny from the early days of Philosophy Roulette. This was the most philosophically important cat video. Let's see if I can find it. The most philosophically important cat video. Cat stalks bird and falls over when it gets away. Let's see if we can find this. Videos. it's like, this is like, yeah, I'll have to find it later. But like, I actually used to link this many times in Philosophy Roulette. This is back from a long time ago. I'll tell you what happens real quick. So there's a cat obviously stalking some pigeons. And there's a group of people that are like, it's in like basically a walkway, like an esplanade, a promenade or whatever. And and this is some level is conditioning and anthropomorphizing, sure. I mean, we don't have a cat brain. But okay, the cat is stalking this bird. And the bird at the last second spots the cat and flies off. And the cat flops over. Like, it was in stalk mode and then it just like flops. And all the people burst out laughing because it was so obvious that the cat was depressed about losing its catch. And the cat's looking at the people like, oh, come on. Like, it was like the most understanding thing because the cat, like, we could see what the cat was up to. The cat knew what it was up to. And when it lost the bird, it was just like so like disheartened. And it's like completely obvious that everyone understood what was going on in that little scene. Us and the cat. All right, I'll have to find it later, but like I literally used to link it to like authors I was reading in Philosophy Roulette so often. Riti says, I mean, I have dogs. I know they experience emotions very similar to what I have. Yeah, dogs are similar to us. But I can say that when my dog is playful and I am playful, that we are experiencing the same thing. Not for sure. Yeah, of course. There's old philosophy problem. Beetle in the Box from Wittgenstein. Do I know that my pain or my happiness is the same as yours because we can't see each other's pain or happiness or fear or whatever? But again, his argument at that point was, well, what do you have to actually show for your own happiness? You only have your own reactions, and that's what the other things have too. So it's like, you can't really claim a private language or a private knowledge of these things. And so the private experience doesn't really mean a whole lot. That's the beetle in the box. This is the beetle in the box. Beetle in the box. So if you beetle in the box argument. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm playing with my cat, I wonder if she thinks she's playing with me. Montaigne, probably not remembered exactly. Yeah, these are not new thoughts. Like, philosophers have been wondering about this for a long time. You used to say something similar about colors. It's all this sort of private experience thing. Like, you could do the same thing about colors or pain. Like, when I experience green, is it the same green that you experience? When I experience a pain, is it the same pain you experience? We're all taught that green is green, but we may not see the same thing. Yeah, it's a private experience argument. And so then if you move this on to like animals and like this sort of same thing with like the dogs being playful or the cat being like disappointed in losing the bird, it's like you can see the cat like literally just flops over because it's just like what else, it was trying and then thunk, that's it. Rethia says it is in no way a practical argument, but I don't know it's incorrect, especially with applying motions to different species. You thought about when you were a lot younger. This is all, like, these are hard arguments, and they're getting a reprieve or just getting rehashed nowadays because you're saying the same thing about the AI stuff, like ChatGPT. If it's saying all the things we are saying about pain, then does it actually understand pain? And it's kind of hard to say that because it's rehashing everything it's read about pain, but does it actually understand the pain because it has never experienced the pain? What would it be for an AI to experience pain? Does that make sense? But like this is the sort of thing that's getting rehashed nowadays. Yeah, you're welcome. Well, DCI, I'm happy to be able to reference something. Okay. Anywho, so yeah, a lot of people wrote stuff. It is because there's so much philosophy of time during this period that this collection has a narrow geographic focus. To properly explore time in other contexts, additional studies are needed. DCI says, when I make my wife jump, she says, ouch, even though nothing has hit her. Well, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Rithia says AI kind of strengthens the private experience argument to you, and you know that's just code. See, this is the thing. This is why these are getting rehashed. Like, this is interesting questions all of a sudden, because if the AI is reacting just as we do, then what exactly are we doing? Because we're not just doing just code. We seem to have some other experience, but does that even make sense? I don't know. Yeah, it isn't biology, which seems an important distinction. Is it? Like, could we make a like a silicon person? Like, why can't we just switch out all the molecules in our head for different ones? I don't know. Like a mind of Theseus, where all the stuff is not as it used to be. Like, and you could switch out for potentially other sorts of atoms that do the same function but are not the ones that were there, and like even different kinds of atoms. So, what exactly is a human experience at that point? Well, I don't know. But, like, this is the thing. If the chat can always respond just like another human, which I don't think it can, it's just rehashing things it's read, which is not the same. Like, just moving words around is not experiencing pain. Then, yeah, but, like, that's the question. This is far greater than the ship of Theseus? Yes. Why, though? If you can explain exactly why we are different from AIs, then you've got a much bigger, you can write a paper on that. But, like, this isn't, you can ship the point isn't that this is the ship of Theseus. It's that you can ship of Theseus this argument into, like, well, why can't you have a brain made of silicon? Like, just swap out every atom or every molecule for something that is made, that does the same function, but made of some other material. And this is the transporter thing in Star Trek. This is getting rehashed all the time. But it's getting rehashed now because of the chat GPTs. Like, what exactly is it for the chat GPT to have a model of the world, to have a model of pain, things like that? This is like a brand new field of philosophy. Yeah, no, there ain't nothing old. It's become, newly relevant. That's exactly it, Retheus. So. But this is how things go. And this is why they're writing this paper on time. It gets cycled. 100 years ago, it got big. Then it dropped off. Now it's getting big again. Yes, AI is infiltrating corporate life now, and it's going to be a big social issue. And as people are now forced to think about it, because it's going to have economic problems, and the whole economy is going to be fucked because a lot of people are not going to be able to do work the same way they were, and things like that. Hunter O'Brien says teleportation is murder disguised as transit. Yeah, that's one position. You're not the same person you were before. But that's the thing. Like, could you, switch out the people for other things? Yeah, you never use a teleporter? Yeah. I mean, time is just a teleporter to the next state of the universe. Use that all the time. Use it constantly. Okay. So further, this American-British focus highlights the myriad intellectual connections between thinkers. For example, James taught Calkins and Adams, McTaggart taught Russell and Moore, Russell taught Constello Stephen. Whitehead collaborated with Russell, Adams drew on Whitehead, James borrowed from Hodgson in terms Calkins, Russell, Kemp Smith, and Adams responded to James. Russell critiqued James and Robb. Welby criticized Calkins. Welby and Oakley criticized McTaggart. Sinclair criticized Russell and Whitehead. Notably, despite this volume's geographic focus, Bergson's French philosophy is prominent, exposing his immense international impact. Time doesn't kill every cell and then control V to a new location. How do you know? How do you know how it works? Yes, Vipers, you missed a lot. Sorry, you'll have to watch the VOD. Yeah. So, this is the thing. You also have to realize something in philosophy. There are cottage industries in philosophy, just like there are in other tech fields. Something gets big, everyone writes on that, it becomes a cottage industry among a bunch of friends. They get a bunch of publications for that. They get a little bit of funding to work on this, and then it gets boosted. So, this is kind of how the money goes. When something gets hyped, all the money gets thrown at it, and then, then more papers got written on it. So all it takes is a little bit of hype. So, they're saying, there was a whole lot of, people working on this, stuff that also could just be a sociological thing. Just like nowadays, you get a little bit of hype and a little bit of money gets thrown your way, and all of a sudden a lot more work gets done. Yeah. Old man shouts at cloud. That's like, I was old when I was young. He's like, I feel like I made 100 usually. Cells die over 7 years, right? They all get replaced. Yeah, I mean, your body, and some of them a lot faster. How many fans we have questions? Yeah, who knows? Brian says, if somebody writes another paper on vagueness, I will lose your poorly defined shit. Yeah, I mean, I'm so sick of grounding papers at this point. Like, grounding needs to stop. But, like, people got a lot of publications out of grounding. And so, it's like, okay. And, yeah, vagueness, I guess, if you're sick of that, too, it's like, fine. It happens. So... Third, whilst this collection features famous time theorists such as James Russell and McTaggart, it also includes some who are less familiar. With regard to the history of philosophy, some of them are very poorly known. Welby has been almost exclusively studied by semiotic scholars and is not currently well known as a metaphysician. Kemp Smith's historical work has been studied, but not his original philosophy, and Adams has not been studied at all. Is that what you're writing about currently? Who knows? Well, that's probably for Unreal Brian, because I'm definitely not writing on vagueness. Rethea says, so why would you replace every cell in an instant and think that you're going to be the same person? We are tied to our biology, then a transporter is a death machine. Alright, so now we're having philosophical arguments about transporters in chat. Go at it. It's like, begin. Were it in my power to add more pages to this volume, I would have welcomed further work on time in Bradley Voice, Charles Sanders Peirce, Constance Naden, Alexander Arthur Lovejoy Stebbing, Broad, and George Santayana. Happily, many of these time theorists receive at least brief mention in the following papers. Okay, so DCI is with it. Having considered the collection as a whole, let's turn to the individual papers. Holly Anderson's contribution, Hodgson on the Relations Between Philosophy, Science, and Time, explores how philosophy relates to the sciences and how both relate to time. Focusing on Hodgson's 1884 presidential address to the Aristotelian Society, Anderson argues that for Hodgson, time as studied in science must be distinguished from the temporal structure of immediate consciousness. Further, his work on these issues help us understand how Hodgson situates philosophy as a foundation for new sciences, including psychology. In this regard, Anderson shows that Hodgson prefigured James' early pragmatism. See, that's fun. It's like maybe this person was a little bit ahead on the, or at least showed something about pragmatism. That's cool. The question, though, is if you had an identity before teleportation. Yeah, but that would be, is identity non-physical, Unreal Brian? Yeah. I guess, and Viper's asking something similar, but does life reside within a substrate or a pattern within the substrate? Yeah, so, like, is it the thing, or is it something supervening on the thing, or is it something, what's that stupid word? Now I'm, like, losing my words. Epiphenomenal. Yeah, so if it's something epiphenomenal. So it's not even on the thing. It's something like somehow hovering above it. So, yeah, supervening, or then you could get even to the metaphysical level. It's not the thing itself, or is it something that like somehow works in concert with it? And that'd be a dualistic thing, because you've got the brain and then the somewhat separate mind. So, like, then could you get that epiphenomenal mind thing to transport with the transporter? Or is it somehow connected to the substructure in some weird way? Very weird theories at that point. Okay, Jeremy Dunham compares Bergson and James on temporal consciousness in Flights in the Resting Places, James and Bergson on mental synthesis and the experience of time. In the 1800s, James developed his stream of consciousness theory, while Bergson developed his a la durée réelle. I don't know how to speak French, so I apologize. Although scholars often note similarities between their theories, Dunham argues that they are fundamentally different. However, in 1906, Bergson changed James' mind on various key issues, including his account of temporal experience. Understanding the shift helps us better understand James' later philosophy and the crucial impact Bergson had on his thought. This is super fascinating. If you ever get a philosopher that changes their mind about something and then you can explain what happened, then you can like say something about their earlier philosophy and then their later philosophy too. So the fact that you can like be like, no, in 1906 Bergson changed his mind, then you can be like, okay, this was wrong and that's right. Sometimes, if you at least know what got changed. But the idea that like Bergson did this at this time, that's cool. DSI asks, could you define your identity as the map of your biological buildup, and therefore the matter that adheres to that is regardless, and therefore transporters are not murderers? Yeah, see, that's the thing. If it is the pattern and not the thing below, then it's not murdering you because you're just transporting the map into a different area. And then, yeah, can argue. Rethea says, whatever I am is tied to my biology, so transporter kills you and then recreates you, I guess. Okay. Yep. So it's effectively no difference to an observer, but you're still dead. I got you. Okay. In the author's own paper, Mary Calkin's Victory or Welby and the Spatialization of Time considers a deep transatlantic disagreement. In 1899, Calkins argues that we shouldn't spatialize time. In 1907, criticizing Calkins, Welby argues we should. Exploring and comparing their accounts, I argue the heart of their clash is metaphysical. Drawing on experimental psychology, Calkins reasons from our experience of time to its partial reality. In contrast, drawing on lines of thought around the fourth dimension popularized by H.G. Wells' Time Machine, I read Welby as spatializing time so radically that her unique position comprises anti-realism about time. Yeah, so if you're just like, you can make it into something else. It's not even real. It's just some sort of physical byproduct. Jack Shardlow considers Russell's 1912 to 13 writings on temporal experience in his contribution, The Experience and Knowledge of Time through Russell and Moore. Critiquing James and drawing on Moore and Russell. Critiquing James and drawing on Moore, Russell sought to explain why the present time is so intimate to a given subject, and this work formed the basis of later important papers, including Russell's On the Experience of Time. Shardlow advances a new reading of Russell on temporal experience, arguing that Russell's account is of particular interest because it captures the philosophical insight that considerations about time are at the heart of phenomenological experience. Okay, yeah, so this is one of the things. If you need to describe how your world is to you, you kind of have to do it in time. And so people have been talking about this since phenomenology. What is it to experience something? Well, it has to be experienced in time. And so Russell has to say something about that. Although I'm sure that got started with maybe the earlier phenomenologists, but that Russell may have known about. It's like, you got to think, did Husserl say anything on that? Maybe. I don't remember. Yeah, oh well. Richard Arthur considered Robb's account of time in his article on the significance of A.A. Robb's philosophy of time, especially in relation to Bertrand Russell's. Among physicists, Robb's work is now acknowledged to be of great importance, but it was not appreciated by his philosophical contemporaries. Having shown how Robb's metaphysics of time is grounded in his interpretation of special relativity, Arthur inquires into its lackluster reception, especially at the hands of Russell. His investigation highlights the shared idealist premises of Russell and McTaggart, as well as further points of agreement between Russell, Eddington, and McTaggart. You see, here's the thing. The physicists sometimes know exactly what they're talking about. And so it's like, even if it doesn't hold philosophical weight at a certain point, it may still be really useful, and then we get back to it later and understand what was actually happening. And so this is one of the things that, sometimes the physicists do something, and then the philosophers realize that was smart, and vice versa. That's a nice contribution to see how special relativity affected the philosophy. Katerina Perovic's contribution, The Main Feature of Whitehead's Early Temporal Ontology, considers the metaphysics of Whitehead developed from 1910 to 1924. During these years, Whitehead grappled with Einstein's general theory of relativity, attempting to reconcile scientific inquiry with our observations and intuitions. Perovic reads Whitehead's early ontology as defending the passage of time and as taking events to be fundamental, dynamic entities from which objects, properties, and time itself are abstracted. She shows that Whitehead offers insights that could be of use to 21st century dynamic A theories of time. Yeah, so this is what Valpo was saying. Valpo has written about A theories and B theories of time, which are the different sort of growing block theories, and then you've got spotlight theories and different ways to talk about these things, and they're called A theories and B theories. But yeah, anyone who doesn't know Whitehead, he used to be much more popular, and then he got more popular with different groups of people, but he was a process philosopher. He didn't say that the world was sort of static. He said it was always in process. What do you actually do? Can you make a philosophy where everything is a process? It's yes. And so what happens when you start thinking of things as processes and not just as this is what the theory says, these are the laws of nature, but when everything's a process, things look different. Viper says, I wonder if Bertrand ever availed of the services of a dolly mop, a prostitute to my colonial readers, and did she Jack Russell? So you're asking if we made a dog joke in, some sort of dog joke with Russell. Russell was part of the Bloomsbury group, which was sort of this, very liberal, like forward-thinking philosophers in England, and I think they were all sleeping around. So the idea that yeah, he's doing a Shane. I'm ruining your joke. But the idea that I don't think he ever used a prostitute, but I think Russell was like he was from money, so he didn't like he just had like, you know, he could afford it and stuff, but I think he was too proper for that. So I don't think he did, but like that's not to say he wasn't like, you know, they were trading like girlfriends and boyfriends back in the day. Dolly mop is hilariously perverse when I think about it as slang for a prostitute. Yeah. Viper, yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you have to understand, some of these philosophers were very interesting. Like I mentioned before, Girdle married a prostitute, like, and good on both of them. I think they were very happy together. So, yeah, Russell was a lord, but he renounced that. Yeah, but I mean, he was an activist. He was very, you know, forward thinking in certain areas. I don't think he liked actually people sleeping around on him, but I think he liked to sleep. Like, I think he ended up being a little bit more proper at times than he wanted to be. But yeah. Okay. Some philosophers were very interesting. Others were Kant. Yes, that's right. Although apparently Kant made some very good spicy mustard. That's what I heard. He liked to throw. You know, I just sort of suspect Kant was gay and like he just couldn't really act on it. Because apparently he threw very nice dinner parties and made some like spicy mustard. So it was a guy who lived alone and liked to cook. Like maybe he was gay. You know, I don't know. Okay. Kemp Smith is best known as a historian of philosophy, but Geoffrey Gorham's article, Norman Kemp Smith on the Experience of Duration. Yeah, I'm dying. Yeah, Hegel strikes you as boringly bourgeois. Could be. I don't know enough history of Hegel. Let's see. Norman Kemp Smith on the Experience of Duration argues for the importance of his philosophy of time, focusing on Kemp Smith's 1924 Prolegomena to an Idealist Theory of Knowledge. Gorham shows that this text develops a Kantian account of time and uses it to solve a problem around the specious present. How can we perceive a duration if we only perceive the present? Gorham compares Kemp Smith's solution to that of Alexander and George F. Stout, further expanding our history of these debates about temporal experience. Rethea says, if I could revive one person from the dead, it would be Hegel so I could ask him what the fuck. You wouldn't be the only person in line to ask him what the fuck. Unreal Brian says, I suspect you would find the answer disappointing. I mean, historically, apparently Hegel's lectures were very popular. So, like, he was a popular lecturer. So in person, he must not have been that, like, terrible. Because, I mean, that's the famous story between Hegel and I can't remember the other guy's name. I lose words when I'm dying. But like there was somebody that tried to steal students from Hegel and it didn't work. That's when the Reservoir Dogs stuck in the middle with your shit would start. Lol. Yeah, okay. Get a little dance going. People whine about Hegel, but he was a decanter. All right, now you're just pushing it, Vipers. Yeah, Schopenhauer. That's right. Hey, Nintendo, what's up? Yeah, Schopenhauer. That's right. Schopenhauer tried to steal students from Hegel by putting his lectures at the same time as Hegel, and Schopenhauer got no students, and everyone kept going to Hegel. So that's what it was. Thank you, Valpo, too. Yep. But like this is the first thing to go on me is name recall. So. Okay. McTaggart is arguably the most famous philosopher of time, yet existing scholarship focuses almost exclusively on his negative argument for the unreality of time. W.J. Maynard's paper, The Right Kind of Nonsense, a study of McTaggart C and D series, remedies this by inquiring into McTaggart's seemingly nonsensical positive account of time. There are C and D series? Like, because I think McTaggart is the one that did A and B, but I did not know there was a C and a D. Oh my God. At least you're not a Kant. Yeah, that's fine, Tinderos. I can't do that to myself. Hegel is the best hors d'oeuvres. Yeah, I have no idea. The hors d'oeuvres. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Who knew there was McTaggart could spell past B? He has C and D. Okay. Why does timeless reality misleadingly appear to us as temporal? Timelessness. Yeah. Centering around McTaggart's 1921 to 27, The Nature of Existence, Mander argues that the answers lie in McTaggart's spiritualism and mysticism, and that they are far from nonsense. That's interesting because, we can go look up A and B theories of time. So, CD is nuts. I knew CD though. Yeah, see, Valpo, who knew? So, A and B theory of time. I just want to get the pictures on this so you guys can see all. So, Wikipedia. Where's the pictures? Okay, I don't know. See, A theory and B theory. Here we go. No pictures? Okay. Okay. Yeah, see, this is McTaggart. Oh, you can't even say. I was just Googling Wikipedia. See, if A and B series of time, and you can see John McTaggart right here. It's like from 1908, and they're consistently used. So A series is that there's our future, present, and past, and then the whole thing. And then the other one is events. It's like you've got relative things, like earlier, now, and later. So, okay. Rethia says it's just how your brain deciphers time. I mean, sure. But I mean, our brain meat's always going to decipher it. So that's not going to help you a whole lot. I mean, sure, it's true, but it's not going to do you so good. So it's you've got wasn't Kant spiritual, reaching to things outside of the body? Yeah, I mean, he was transcendental. He was saying, no, you can't, but he kind of said there's a thing in itself. Can't really talk about it. You only have that stuff, but yeah. So, but the idea that you could postulate thing in itself, things that you couldn't get a hold of. So kind of. I mean, that was a transcendence. You could get outside yourself. You could get outside into some outside world. So yeah, A theories is series of temporal positions as being in continual transformation, and B series is see if I can just describe this better, because I forget this. Yeah, position in the B series does not. It's sort of like this block, so it's always there. And they're ordered. So everything is just always there. So. Okay, so A is the relative, and then, so A is, I guess, the, I always forget this. It looks like A is more of the, spotlight theory, so everything is just, future of the spot, the present or the past of it, and then the B theory of time is just, this sort of block of time, then anything is just in that spot. What do you got for us, Vipers? Shoot. Can't see this. Okay, yeah, so this is a summary. Okay, so yeah, there's A theory is that it's dynamic. So, yeah, it's dynamic, and there's a past, present, and future. And then B theory is that the time is inherently static. It's a full block. I always get this confused for some reason. I shouldn't. Yeah. Is there any philosophers more physicists besides Carl Sagan? There are, some definite physicists. Oh, there's C theory here. Oh, did you ask, what is this, ChatGPT? So C theory holds that it's inherently dynamic, and D theory is inherently static. But, how is this different from, alright, so there's a little thing. Tim Lott modeling for sure. I think there's a guy named Carlo Rovelli who is a philosophically informed physicist. I heard him talk on the black hole information paradox once. I think. Was that it? No. I heard him talk about, what was it? May have been the black hole information paradox. Hey, Pink Lady, what's up? Hope you're well. Okay. Alright, so thank you, Vipers, for dropping those into chat. I can read them more fully later. But, so D theory also holds that time is just a way of ordering events and does not flow or change in any way. D theory is the only tenable theory of time, he argues, is consistent with our time of experience and that it does not lead to any contradictions. However, McTaggart's argument has been criticized by many philosophers and there's no consensus of which theory of time is correct. You want to know what my problem is with this? Like, where'd you get this? Like, did you chat GPT this? Like, or is this Bing, Bard, or whatever? Actually took the time to read them. It looks like they just swapped out A and B for C and D. Yeah, so where did you get this? Like, who is this? Yeah, it's Bard. I'm not sure this is the sort of thing that can be trusted. Like, it just seems like they switched it out. I'm not sure this makes a whole lot of sense right now. Like, it's interesting, but like, this is a little bit shaky without any actual, like, quotes. You need pull quotes for this sort of thing when it's like this, when you're doing historical work. And this is the sort of thing on a theory that is not well written about. The AIs are not going to do as good of a job. On things that are much better written about, you're going to get a very, very good job. On things like this, where you're talking about obscure philosophy, it's not going to be, like, if there's enough literature out there, it will give you a good summary. If you're talking about obscure philosophy where there isn't a whole lot written about, again, not as good. And there's one of the other criticisms of this stuff. Like, if it's not in English, again, it's going to be discounted because the stuff in English is just better, had more input into the large language models. And so you're going to have like worse information about other stuff, and that's unfair to other people. And so it's like, yeah, all this stuff. Hey, nice sweater. Thank you. Nick Huget wrote a nice accessible intro to philosophy of physics. I think it's called World Enough in Space Time or something similar. Okay. It's a matter of asking the right questions, like Terminator thing I shared on Discord. A lot of, this stuff is asking the right questions. But then again, you have to realize where's the brains then? The brains are in you if you have to like figure out what questions to ask. A lot of times it is the right question to ask. The information's out there, but you don't know to look for it. A lot of times that's the way it is. And the question is, will the AI ever be able to ask the right questions? Don't know. That's going to take a long time before the AIs can ask better questions than they do. Because normally now we need to give the prompts. When the AIs can start asking questions, then we can start wondering like how good those questions are. And are they smart? All right, so the idea that there is some sort of C and D series is like sort of fascinating. And like, I'm sure it's been read before, but if someone has to put out this book, which has just come out in the last year or so, and this is like the introductory chapter to it, that's why it's not going to be in the large language models. I mean, what's it called? It's definitely a quote from, what was it, iRobot, where, what's his name? Well, the scientist is sort of like leading Will Smith around, and at some point, Will Smith can ask questions to like an AI, and he's asking a lot of questions not helpful, and then he finally asks a question, and the guy goes, "You've asked the right question." Like, that's what it was. The survey experts field, 50% put the general intelligence at 40 years, 90% put it at 80 years. I don't know if we're going to get there actually in my lifetime, and that would put it in the 40 years away. I'm not saying I'll live for 80 years. That seems like unusual, but I'm less sold on it. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's barely a toddler. So I'm not that worried yet. The people I've spoken to aren't worried yet either. Like the ones who know about this stuff. Like I was a week ago, I was talking to a guy who just had a conference on AI ethics at his university, where he was part of the organizers, and he had some very famous people there. And he said that he's not nervous because the people he spoke to at the conference aren't nervous yet. He said if they were nervous, he'd be nervous. He said the people he spoke to, that like his like keynote speaker, wasn't nervous. So he said if they were nervous, he'd be nervous. And yeah. He said he was talking to one of the people who developed the GPU processing for the large language model. So this was the guy who was moved the AI processing off CPUs and onto GPUs so that it could be parallelized. And that guy wasn't worried about having a generalized intelligence on this stuff yet. So the people who are who did the work for this stuff aren't worried about generalized intelligence yet. And so, like, if he was more worried, I'd be more worried, but he wasn't. Yeah, so Matthias, see, and you gotta always also remember, I'm a philosopher. I know where all the problems and theories are. That's kind of the business, is to know where things break down. And so I'm less worried because I know how things break. Most of the other people are looking at what they can do. I'm looking at where it goes wrong. And so I'm just more of a curmudgeon. But like, just to be like honest about where I come from, is I come from the curmudgeon side of things. Viper says right now the most disruptive thing is going to be the salesman pitching execs and destroying the livelihood of millions in the process before they realize it doesn't live up to the sales pitch. No, we are fucked right now. It's just not artificial general intelligence that's fucking us. It's going to be the regular one and salespeople and capitalism that we're fucked about. That's not, yeah, completely agree with that. We are fucked, but not for, we're worried about like the singularity coming. Not worried about that. Or should we be plenty worried about our current state of tech? Yes, we should be. Okay. And that's what also the guy I was talking to, he was of the same opinion. Like, that's where he said, don't worry about the general intelligence. Worry about everything else getting fucked up right now, because that's probably what's going to be bad. Okay, Matthias Moravec considers the impact of Bergsonian time in taking time seriously. The Bergsonianism of Karen Costello, Stephen, Hilda Oakley, and May Sinclair. He shows that three Bergsonian elements made their way into the 1910-30s work of Costello, Stephen, Oakley, and Sinclair: novelty, memory, and indivisibility. All three philosophers place time at the center of their philosophies, so this study helps us understand their systems more broadly and the reception of Bergson's thought in Britain after Russell's 1912 ferocious attack on it. Moravec argues that the neglect of these three women philosophers may be connected with the fall of Bergsonism. Yeah, can't say that. Bergsonism. Finally, we come to Anthony Fisher's article, Temporal Experience and the Present in George P. Adams' Eternalism. During the 1920s through 30s, Adams developed a novel kind of eternalism on which the past, present, and future are all real, but only the present is actual. He reasons analogously from time to modality, like past and future times. Possibilia are non-actual but real. Fisher argues that Adams' exploitation of time modality analogies offers insights for current debates. Further, Adams' eternalism likely influenced that of mid-20th century metaphysicians like metaphysician Donald C. Williams, who later influenced D.M. Armstrong and David Lewis. Viper says, I can see arriving within the 40 to 80 year time frame. You have to remember what a work multiplier machine learning is. The pace of innovation is only going to increase. Yeah, but it's going, I feel like these things go in jumps and bounds. So like I think we're gonna hit a limit. This is my thinking, is that like we're gonna get to the end of like what these AIs do, and then for us to get to the next level of AI is gonna be another sort of jump in either hardware or software, and then it'll go like by, spurts. And so like, yeah, it's gonna be a multiplier, but we still are gonna need more breakthroughs than just letting it keep going as it is. Unreal Brian says, Russell's chapters in the history of Western philosophy did a lot to bury both pragmatism and Bergson. Unfortunately, there's much else of Russell that I like. Yeah, I mean, Russell has good and bad spots. So it's like sort of the thing. Okay, and that's it for this paper. So we just got really brief summaries of what was coming in the rest of the book. I didn't realize that's what it was going to be. But hey, whatever, it's cool. Seems like a fun book if like you're interested in this stuff, and if you want, like, and as the author was saying, this is going to touch on a lot of things. And so if like you're interested in metaphysics, you're interested in like time and physics, like you don't have to be a metaphysician, you could just be interested in the physics. You're going to be talking about Albert Einstein in certain points. You're going to be talking about all this other stuff. So like this seems like a nice book, like if like to read, and maybe you get some like history of philosophy and perspectives on current debates, because as they were pointing out towards the beginning of this article, philosophy of time has ballooned, and it's like, yeah, what was it? Up here somewhere, they were saying how philosophy of time has ballooned. That like it was only like McTaggart was referenced 170 times before the year 2000 and over 2,300 times since. So this is the thing. If I haven't already, look at the link to Microsoft Jarvis in your Discord and #AI. Okay, I'll take a look later. Yeah. It's like the problem is, I just lost a day to being sick. It's like everything else I want to do is now pushed back a day. Wonderful. And like I said, I'm out of it today. I mean, I can stream, but I'm probably going to go lay down after this. So, and the voice is going. And it's like, yay. Okay. So do we have anything else to say for this? I don't know. I mean, this is a little bit of history. That's cool. A few good ideas, like things to talk about. It's nice. Like, you always got to bring in the things. Like, are we in a spotlight? The A sort of, like I guess that's A theory. I'm sorry, Valpo, if I fucked this up. But like the A theory where like you got the spotlight, and so you've got like, the present, and then there's a past and a future. Or you got like eternalism where everything, you've got a past, present, and future, but then you're just moving through this block that exists already. So it's like, yeah. So, yeah, speaking of, I do have socials. So, like, you can get in my Discord. You can see the VODs speaking of Discord, you can see the VODs on my YouTube channel and my Phil Papers page where you see my publications are there. Unreal Brian says, it seems the sort of thing where it's good if you want to find some pointers and further reading on a particular subject. Yeah, and like a lot of stuff is going to get touched in this. Like a lot of different stuff is going to, point out a good reference book. So, seems like there is a trick to curation, like when you can put together a good set of things that will be interesting to people. And this seems like a very well put together, well thought out group of papers that you can talk about here, Like, who would guess that, time in the 1880s to 1930s would be such a nice topic, but they get to talk about some really, really, really big names and get to talk about some nice topics and like sort of things like that. So in some sense, this is I don't know if it's well executed, but it's a high-minded collection of papers that seems to do a lot of, gives you a lot of opportunity for further research if you're interested in this or related fields. I mean, the one thing I didn't love was like, they just sort of made up a history saying, oh, why didn't we like it? It was because of like maybe Darwinian evolution. And that's not even terrible. That's just them making up a history, and maybe that is what it was. And then they said, well, it was a idealist backlash to Darwinian evolution. Entirely possible. But I mean, that's just like a just so story, which happens in philosophy. I don't have any great love for that happening in philosophy. I mean, you want to go make up a just so story, there's other fields where you can say, hey, given our evidence is what we think happened. But like these people, they wrote stuff down and you can see what they are drawing upon. And a lot of times, well, like, are they lying to you about what they were writing about? Or are they really just angry at evolution? It's like, well, they might be angry at evolution, but like maybe not. Like maybe something else. And a lot of times you can see what references these people are talking about. Or are they talking about stuff that had to do with evolution? So I don't love that, but I mean, whatever. It is a history paper. You're allowed to talk about, possible reasons for things at the time, which Darwin was a big deal at the time. Yeah. A study of McTaggart's C and D series. See, this is the sort of thing. I have only ever heard of A and B, and C and D are like, oh, wow, who knew? Okay. All right, so you know what? Let's give this a little bit of a review. We've got some like emotes here, and if you want to now, Emil Bryan says, I think it was Einstein who sold the view that time didn't have its own particular identity, but that space-time is a mathematical coordinates in which stuff happens. Oh, absolutely. But like, there were people that sort of before Einstein were saying that too. Okay, so yeah, DCI says this is a yay. This is a nice little paper. What else is going into this? So feel free to review it. Like the Ouroboros, like the first one, the brain dance. Does it have fun ideas? Did you make your brain like happy? I don't know. Didn't have anything like super clever about it. It was kind of a review paper. So this is not going to get that much of a brain dance. I'm going to try. Should I review out of 5? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. It's not a navel gazing only for academics because it looks like a fun thing. Ouroboros does have those ancient mysteries. Yeah, this is kind of, we're talking about time here and different things. So this is going to get a little bit of fun. So we're going to get 2 Ouroboros on this. It's got no existential content really. Maybe some of the things referenced. We'll be talking about like the Bergson, but it won't do anything like that. Is it all style, no substance? No, this is not like doesn't get a turd. And is it a knife? Or slicing and dicing arguments? Not really. So this is basically it. And you know what? Is it going to get a Grapes? It made some claims and it didn't really follow through. Nah, it's kind of unfair to Grapes this. It's not like it really failed. It failed at its purpose. This's purpose was an overview paper. It overviewed that, and I think it deserves a vote yay too. Because if you want to like know what this book is about, was this a well-written thing? We'll give it a vote yay. So I'll leave up the review screen for a few more minutes. If anyone else has anything to say about it, please drop the thing in. Viper says, when I asked it what were McTaggart's A, B, C, and D theories of time, it replied there are no C and D theories of time. There are only A and B theories, and it summarized A and B. When I asked it about C and D, initially it did a very coterie thing, just assuming I swapped out the variable names. Yeah, see that? Like, interesting. Now you understand maybe how it worked. It just sort of did it just looped over or whatever, just swapped it out. But when you ask a specific question, because it's so little spoken about, it just said it doesn't exist. Now, clearly, it never read the original paper, or it doesn't have it in its database, and it didn't have this updated research, which is just coming out now, is not in the large language model it's using. So, it's like, yeah, like this is the danger. It might understand some things, but like, is it really understanding other things? At times, you got to be careful with this stuff at this point. Unreal Brian says, I don't yet understand the Twitch social economy of emotes because I'm old, but I wonder if there should be one for something like that's kind of a 100 level overview of a topic. It's not so easy to understand. There's a few different things I can tell you about it. Now, my emotes are not going to be very good Twitch level emotes. But here's one of the things. You will see knife emotes other places. Other people have knife emotes. That's for like being like particularly like stabby. Like, stabby in a game. There's a lot of games that have like, knife fighting or whatever. Knife wielding. So there are a few different things. Do you use Oh, did you ask them? Yeah, they do. They do. I know they do. But like, so here's the thing. There are at least two reasons to do it. You're expressing an emotion because a picture is worth 1,000 years. You get like a happy face or a sad face. It's like an emoticon. Second thing, it's expressing group identity. So like certain groups of people, they will use like one of the big streamers' emotes, and then you can recognize each other in other places. And so you will be showing your group identity by using certain streamers' emotes. And so like if you have certain streamers' emotes, you will be able to express identity. So like, for instance, I have Dan M. Bye. Like this. This is not my emote. This is Dan M. Bye. This is but anyone from the Daniel Mac community will recognize this. And so you can use emotes to show group solidarity in some sense. But the real trick of an emote is capturing some sort of reaction. So that's why you usually have happy, sad, like anger, things like that. And then you have the person's specific one. Now, the question is, should there be one for something that's kind of a 100 level overview of a topic? No, because that is so unique to hear, and it's not actually representing a strong emotion. You need the you need to, what's it called? Get better TTV. You need the better TTV plugin to see it. You need the add-on. Because I didn't want to force everyone to have to use the to be subscribed in order to use the emotes and see them. And so you need to be able to you can get a plugin and you get free emotes basically. So yeah. Of course you don't have to use them, you can just use the text. If you use the text, then it will still work, but you just don't see the fun emotes in chat. Like, you can see it in the video feed. You can see what's happening there. So, you can see what it looks like to me and people who have the plugin installed. Yeah, so, like, Vipers just did this little wink from Cactus. And that's the thing. So, but, yeah, of course, you don't have to participate. You don't have to get the browser the browser extension installed. But if anyone else, all right, so I'll shut this down in a sec. If anyone else wants to give a little rating, feel free to do it now. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it off. Thank you for the people who did rate. I appreciate it, because that will go up on a site that I'm building, and then the rating will, we'll have my review, and then does chat give it thumbs up, thumbs down, and things like that. And so then it will be, the author can go look at that if they want to see, and other people will be able to go see, hey, let's go see what papers have gotten a thumbs up. You missed too much. No, there's no stress. You don't need to give ratings. It's cool. It's mostly for me, but chat should be able to participate. And, it's more fun that way. A little bit more interaction. So, and other people did rate, so that's cool. I'm losing it. Okay, so